Jeffrey Dahmer appeared to be just another quiet, unassuming man. But behind his calm exterior was a horrifying secret, a gruesome pattern of crimes that would later shock the world. Today, we're diving into the disturbing story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal, whose actions forever changed the way we think about evil. Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Growing up in a seemingly typical suburban family, Dahmer's early life was marked by quietness and isolation. He was known as a shy and withdrawn child, but there were subtle signs of trouble. Fascinated by dead animals, Dahmer began collecting roadkill, dissecting it, and developing a morbid curiosity, a habit that hinted at darker interests beneath the surface. His parents' troubled marriage added to his feelings of neglect, as frequent arguments and an eventual divorce left him feeling even more isolated. As a teenager, Dahmer struggled to find a sense of identity, grappling with his sexuality and feeling increasingly distanced from those around him. This growing alienation, combined with disturbing urges, would eventually set Dahmer on a horrifying path. In 1978, shortly after graduating from high school, Jeffrey Dahmer committed his first murder. He picked up 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, a hitchhiker, offering him a ride back to his family home. The two shared a few drinks, but when Hicks tried to leave, Dahmer panicked and attacked him. After killing Hicks, he disposed of the body with chilling efficiency, beginning a cycle of violence that would remain hidden for nearly a decade. Following this murder, Dahmer tried to blend back into normal life. He joined the army, where he served for a short time, but his behavior grew increasingly erratic, leading to his eventual discharge. Still, Dahmer managed to keep his secrets, moving to Milwaukee in the late 1980s, where he resumed his deadly pattern. Dahmer's killing spree began in earnest in 1987. He frequented local bars and clubs, often targeting young men at gay bars in Milwaukee. He would lure them back to his apartment, promising companionship or offering them money to pose for photographs.
Right. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Here are the names of his known victims, along with a bit about each one and how Dahmer approached them. Stephen Hicks, 1978, Dahmer's first victim. A recent high school graduate hitchhiking after a concert. Stephen Twomey, 1987. A 24-year-old restaurant worker who encountered Dahmer at a bar. Dahmer claimed he had no memory of killing Twomey, only that he found him dead the next morning. James Dockstader, 1988. Just 14, James was a Milwaukee native. Dahmer approached him outside a gay bar, offering him money to go home with him. Richard Guerrero, 1988. 22 years old and close with his family. Dahmer lured him from a bar with the promise of easy money. Anthony Sears, 1989. An aspiring model with a sense of style. He met Dahmer at a bar, unaware of the fate that awaited him. Raymond Lamont Smith, 1990. Raymond, also known as Ricky Beeks, was a 32-year-old father and worked as a male sex worker in Milwaukee. He was known for his kind demeanor despite facing significant challenges in his life. Eddie Smith, 1990. 28, outgoing and loved by many. Dahmer met him at a club and gained his trust. Ernest Miller, 1990. A talented dancer from Chicago. They met outside a bookstore, where Dahmer charmed him into going back to his apartment. David Thomas, 1990. A 23-year-old father of two. Dahmer encountered him on the street and convinced him to come over. Curtis Straughter, 1991, 18, hard-working and planning to go back to school. Dahmer picked him up at a bus stop. Errol Lindsay, 1991. At 19, Errol had dreams of owning a business. Dahmer lured him from a local mall. Tony Hughes, 1991, 31, and deaf, Tony communicated with Dahmer through written notes. They met at a bar. Konarak Synthesomphone, 1991. Only 14, Konarak was found by neighbors but was returned to Dahmer by police. This tragedy highlighted major oversights in law enforcement. Matt Turner, 1991, 20, recently moved to Milwaukee. Dahmer convinced him to come over with a promise of photos. Jeremiah Benjamin Weinberger, 1991, 23. Jeremiah was a creative and outgoing young man from Chicago who worked at a local salon. He loved art and was described as full of life by his friends. Oliver Lacey, 1991. A bodybuilder and father, Dahmer charmed him with money and promises of modeling. Joseph Bradehoft, 1991, a father of 3, recently moved to Milwaukee for work and was last seen near Dahmer's building. Each of these victims came from different walks of life, but shared one tragic similarity. They crossed paths with Dahmer, who preyed on their trust and vulnerabilities.
Were you repulsed? Were you upset?
No, at the time, it was almost addictive, a surge of energy. I wouldn't have to worry about any of their needs or anything. I just had complete control of the situation.
Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes extended beyond murder. He used drugs to incapacitate his victims, experimenting with horrific methods to control them. Some of his victims were subjected to cruel experiments as Dahmer tried to create zombie-like states.
I filled that up with resin, injected it into it.
Filled it?
Yeah, injected it into it. I was hoping to produce a zombie-like state.
Dahmer took graphic photos to document his crimes and collected body parts as keepsakes. His apartment became a nightmarish scene, filled with chilling evidence of his violent obsessions. Police later discovered barrels, bones, and a refrigerator containing human remains, bringing to light the full horror of his crimes.
I'd either blame it on the freezer or the fish tank.
He said he almost passed out. What was in that?
3 headless torsos.
Yeah.
Stripped of flesh.
Dahmer's reign of terror finally ended on July 22, 1991, when Tracy Edwards managed to escape from his apartment. Desperate and afraid, Edwards flagged down police, who followed him back to Dahmer's residence. There, officers uncovered a series of disturbing photos and immediately placed Dahmer under arrest. Further investigation revealed the horrors hidden in Dahmer's apartment. The disturbing photos, body parts, and various remains left no doubt as to the extent of Dahmer's crimes. Dahmer's trial began in early 1992, drawing intense media attention. He confessed to the murders in full, sparing no details, though his defense team argued insanity. Many of the victims' families attended, sharing their grief in powerful statements.
I would like to say to Jeffrey Dahmer that he don't know the pain, the hurt, the loss, and the mental state that he had put our family in.
You took my 17-year-old son away from me. I hope you can deal with what you've done.
I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you! Mother! I hate you!
The court ultimately rejected Dahmer's insanity plea, sentencing him to 15 consecutive life terms, ensuring he would never be free again. The trial brought some closure to the families, but the pain and loss remained palpable. The graphic nature of the crimes shocked the public, cementing Dahmer's place in criminal history. After being sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer was sent to the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. Though his crimes had horrified the public, Dahmer reportedly showed little remorse and accepted his prison sentence without protest.
I take all the blame for what I did. I hurt many people. I know my time in prison will be terrible, but I deserve whatever I get because of what I have done.
However, his notoriety as the Milwaukee Cannibal made him a high-profile inmate, and prison life would prove challenging. Initially, Dahmer was kept in solitary confinement for his own safety, as other inmates viewed him with contempt due to the gruesome nature of his crimes. Over time, however, he was moved into the general population, where he interacted more with other prisoners. Reports suggest that Dahmer would occasionally make morbid jokes about his crimes, unsettling both inmates and prison staff alike. While in prison, Dahmer reportedly became a target for harassment, particularly due to the shocking details of his crimes. He was viewed as a predator among predators, and other inmates resented the media attention he received. Some accounts suggest that his blasé attitude and his refusal to seek extra protection only further antagonized his fellow prisoners. He had even fashioned disturbing food items in reference to his crimes, creating an atmosphere of tension. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer's life came to an end. While on a work detail cleaning a restroom, he was attacked by fellow inmate Christopher Scarver, who harbored a deep hatred for Dahmer due to his crimes. Dahmer was struck repeatedly with a metal bar, and he succumbed to his injuries shortly afterward. At the time of his death, Dahmer had been in prison for only 2 years, and his passing was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a form of justice, while others questioned the failure of prison authorities to keep him safe. Dahmer's death brought a final end to a life that had inflicted unimaginable pain on so many, marking the closing chapter of one of America's most notorious killers. The Jeffrey Dahmer case left a lasting impact on society, raising awareness of the need for more vigilant law enforcement practices and greater mental health support. His story has inspired documentaries, books, and other media, forever casting a shadow over the true crime genre. Dahmer's crimes continue to haunt the public, serving as a disturbing reminder of the darkness that can hide behind an ordinary face. Jeffrey Dahmer's story remains one of the most disturbing and unforgettable cases in true crime history. What are your thoughts on this case? Let us know in the comments. If you want more deep dives into true crime, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.